we'll get into the some preview games. And I guess we'll really just preview these two playoff matchups, huge matchups coming up right before New Year's. We'll start off with number one Georgia playing number four Ohio State. This game is going to be played in Atlanta, and this is going to be the night game of New Year's Eve. So this is going to be an 8 o'clock Eastern time game, 4 o'clock Pacific time. Um, and yeah, look, a lot of things going into this game. One, if you're Georgia, you got to feel like you kind of got screwed to have to play Ohio State as the one seed.
Yeah.
Um, not saying that Ohio State's gonna win or dominate them or anything like that, but they certainly have probably
The
the
best
highest
chance.
potential in this playoff outside of Georgia, or potentially more than Georgia, right? Georgia has kind of shown more all year, and that they've been the number one team for a reason. But Ohio State's offense is so dynamic when they get it going, and they also show the ability to play, you know, very well on the defensive side of the ball as well. So, yeah, I'm sure. Look, if Georgia had their pick, they probably would have took TCU, no problem.
Yeah, 100%.
And I'm pretty sure they would have took Michigan, no problem, over Ohio State as well, and saying, okay, we just shut down the run and make sure these receivers don't, destroy
Don't do
us
what
in
they
one-on-one
did to
coverage
Ohio
like they did.
State.
Yeah, you already have the blueprint of what not to do. So, yeah, they have probably their least favorite matchup of the four. But yeah, look, they're like I said, this game is in Atlanta, in Georgia's backyard. It's pretty much a home game for them.
Yeah.
It's gonna be like 80% plus Georgia fans
Georgia,
there.
20
It's
Ohio State,
yeah,
most likely.
so it's gonna be a zoo. They're gonna have the crowd behind them. Kirby Smart has proven he has his guys ready. The other factor is these Georgia players, a lot of them weren't the starters last year. So it's not like you have the same type of hangover.
Experience.
Right?
So.
These guys are hungry. They've been having to prove all year. It's not like, oh, we already have a national championship because of us. No, a lot of them, they got a national championship because of all the guys that got drafted. So these guys are still hungry. It's not the same type of complacency you might see with other teams, like for instance, some Bama teams that they win it as, when you win as a sophomore and then you come back as a junior, or whatever.
Right.
It's a little different. You could have that kind of a letdown. I don't see that kind of a letdown happening. That being said, this is a 6.5 point spread at the moment. So Vegas clearly thinks it's a one score game. And yeah, I could easily see this going a number of ways. I can see Georgia dominating this from start to finish,
Yeah.
and Ohio State just can't get things together, and it's a total Georgia domination in Atlanta. I could also see this being a close game and going either way, and I can see Ohio State getting hot, getting up big early, and Georgia not really being able to climb back in this game. Like, we know Georgia was able to score a lot of points at certain times this year and be one of the better offenses in college football, but I mean, it's pretty clear. Like, when you watch offenses, Ohio State's passing attack, when it's on, is on another
it's
level.
stellar.
And look, if you have a guy like Marvin Harrison, I don't care who those Georgia DBs are. If Stroud and Harrison could keep hooking up for some big plays, could make a huge problem for
Yeah.
a team like Georgia. So, yeah, this is probably the game of the playoffs. To be honest, I would think whoever wins this game is probably going to be favored in
Win
the
the
championship.
Yeah,
Right?
for sure.
Even if you get a rematch of Ohio State Michigan, Ohio State, it's hard to beat a team twice. We know
Right.
that, and we saw Utah do it at USC, and I picked Utah, even though we know they had to beat USC twice, but they also showed the ability to do it last year, and it was just kind of a feeling that USC, with their luck with the turnovers, they were like plus a million in the turnover margin. That was gonna maybe not work out in their favor, right?
Right.
A game with Michigan and Ohio State. Ohio State is the more talented team, right? They have the better recruits. They have more depth. And like we talked about, Michigan was just able to keep hooking up for long touchdowns. 60 something yarder, 70 something yarder, like 5, 6 of
Yeah,
those.
and one was a missed tackle. The other was just blown
Yeah.
coverage. It's just like,
And so now they made their mistakes. They know what they have to do not to do that. If they don't give up those touchdowns, they win that game, no problem. So yeah, and in this situation, if they were to beat Georgia, they have shown that they're back on track.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. If you could beat Georgia, then there you could mollywop
right.
Michigan or TCU.
So if Ohio State wins, they're probably going to be favored to win the national championship. If Georgia wins, they're going to be favored to win the national championship easily. So yeah, this is probably the game that's going to determine the winner. And but yeah, so good for college football for putting this game as the night game. The place, I'm sure, will be crazy. It'll be fun for everyone to watch. Right
Especially
before New Year's Eve.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, right before New Year's. So 61.5 point over under. So there's expected to be plenty of points scored in this game. And yeah, definitely the what I'm most excited for, probably out of the whole college football playoff, is this game. It's gonna feel like a championship game.
Yeah.
No doubt.
It would be nice to see if all cards are played correctly. It would be great to see Ohio State rematch Michigan in the national championship. And that's a possibility. That's very much a possibility.
Yeah, look, if Ohio State wins and Michigan wins, and they have to play in the national championship, that'll probably be the highest rated college football game of all time.
Yeah,
it will be insane. But yeah, like we said, Michigan as well. We'll move on to Michigan's matchup with TCU. This is number 2 versus number 3 seed. Number 2 Michigan, number 3 TCU. 9-point spread in favor of Michigan. Over under of 59. This seems like a game where Michigan should be able to just completely run all over TCU. That's what I would expect to happen. So yeah, I don't know what much to say about this game besides good luck to TCU. But that's not saying TCU can't win either. It's just not the most likely outcome.
It's not in their cards.
Right? Yeah, it's not the most likely outcome. The most likely outcome is Michigan keeps doing what they're doing. They have a solid defense, one of the best defenses in the country, one of the best running games in the country, and almost in the way that Ohio State has, better recruits than Michigan and probably should be favored in almost every game they play. Michigan has that same advantage over against a TCU, right? There's levels to the type of recruits that these guys have, and not to mention Jim Harbaugh just showed his coaching acumen against Ohio State and how he was able to prepare and find the weakness in the team to overcome them. So, in a game that they'll be favored, they've been solid all year. They've had some tight games though, but they've been favored all year, and I would expect Michigan to come away with this win one way or another. My lean would be that they probably cover that 9-point spread. I wouldn't put money on it, but that's what I would probably think is going to happen. And yeah, that'll kind of wrap up our college football coverage for this episode. We'll bring some more stuff as things get closer. Obviously, we have bowl season coming up, a lot of other great matchups, and then as we get closer to the playoffs, we'll kind of go back over and talk about some of these things as more storylines unfold. So, like, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week.